Y'all, come on in here. Come on in here. Come on in here. I know I took a long lunch break. I apologize. I had a work emergency. I am, in addition to doing this YouTube business, I am a real practicing lawyer. I know there are some people, i.e., Jennifer Williams and her husband, Christian Foolsgold, who say that I am not a real lawyer, but a fake lawyer. This real lawyer actually had to handle a few work crises because my client, because my client, I had a check that's coming in. You don't play with people's money, especially not on a Friday. So it was like a 6-figure check that we were having an issue with because the post office likes to cut up. Here we go. All right, so let's get this going. Hold on. We're going to catch up. Today is a really important day because it is the wrap up of Cassie's testimony. So we're going to talk about that testimony, and also potentially, let's see if we're going to have any testimony starting from Dawn. That's Dawn from Diddy Kane, Dawn Richards. So here we go. I'm going to make this larger. Let's talk about the testimony that we've gotten from Cassie. All right. So this is after the break, after the lunch break today. Ventura wrote, we should talk and have closure. Mr. Combs sent back a tear emoticon. Do this. And just to confirm, this is just to show you from the beginning. This was, I'm stubborn. Oh, we can go on up. They're back. They're saying, let's get this done before the jury returns. I know I'm going to go through this quick so that we can go to what's currently happening and break it down. The judge said, let's get this done before the jury returns. We still think it's appropriate for this message to come in, the defense says. AUSA Johnson says, we still have issues with phrases like, I'd like to reconnect. The government says, what state of mind is this being offered for? Judge, there are portions that are properly admissible, so this needs to be redacted if it's going to be admitted into evidence. For example, in the 5th paragraph, I've been getting my life together. No, it says, we can get that in through other exhibits, the defense says. The judge says, you can redact it right now. I said, okay, I'll do it. So basically what's happening is there are some exhibits where portions of them are acceptable. Portions of them may be too prejudicial for the jury. So they're agreeing to just quickly do redactions and move along. Also, Combs's Tini Garagos on exhibits. She's talking about exhibits and redactions. Combs's Estavio wants to say, she says, I want to say, we're going to finish with Cross faster than he thought, probably before the next break. Combs Agnifilo is saying, may I speak with the government for 1 minute? The judge says, bring the jury back. All this was without the jury. The judge is coming in. The jury's entering. Estavio says, Miss Ventura, we're almost done here. She says, thank you. She says, I will read Mr. Combs' messages. You're going to make a beautiful mother. God bless. I said, thank you. God bless. I wrote, we should talk and have closure. Mr. Combs sent back a tear face emoji. He said, you were always my ride or die. She said, I thought it was nice. You'd been craving that, defense says. She says, before. I don't think I was craving now. In other words, I guess she's been moved on. Estavio says, you shaped you over 11 years. I wonder if she meant you shaped you or he shaped you over 11 years. That would make more sense. But okay. Combs's Estavio is saying you shaped you over 11 years. And then there's silence. Estavio then says, you shaped each other, ? And Ventura says, yes. Your husband's a physical trainer. She said, yes. The house you grew up in Connecticut was relatively modest compared to mansions. She said, yes. This is a nice, gentle way they're getting where they're trying to go. Estavio says, you were preparing to tour with a Matt Testa. She said, yes, he's an engineer. Once you settled your lawsuit, you canceled the tour, right? She said, yes, because you no longer needed the money. She said that wasn't the reason. Interesting. Estavio says, after the hotel video came out, you posted on Instagram that DV is the issue, right? She said, yes, I still feel this way. Oh, that's a good one for the defense. The defense is basically having her use her own words and her own testimony to pin in and highlight the fact that, baby, this is a DV case, honey. And that's a great question. What year is the exchange? I'm not sure. They're not showing us that part. But what year is the exchange is important. It sounds like, though, this exchange is at the end. This exchange is after, when she's now with her husband, is what they're getting at. Child, they got it. She put it in her own. That's why they say don't never put nothing in writing that you don't want mentioned in court. This is also why, as lawyers, we tell our clients, don't you put nothing on social media that could in any way be related to your case. She said, so going back to it, basically they were talking about her. She was supposed to tour with Matt Testa, I guess, as a dancer. But she said, yeah, he's an engineer. I don't know what that has to do with it. Once you settled your lawsuit, you canceled the tour, right? Because you no longer needed the money. That wasn't the reason. After the video came out, you posted on Instagram that DV is the issue. Yes, I still feel this way. Then, girl, that's the issue. Y'all, remember, the statute of limitations for DV on this has passed. It was 5 years. That happened in March of 16. She would have needed to bring a DV charge for that 5 years from then. Estavio says, Mr. Combs wrote, want to FO one last time? What did you write? I don't want it to be the last time. I want FO for the first time. No further questions. Judge, redirect. We need the time frame. Hold on. I'm going to check other sources. I'm going to go to the AP and the Washington Post, because hopefully they're going to tell us the time frame for these texts. Child. No. Hold on. Let me get it. Let me see if it'll tell us. Okay, we're going to go back to, okay, so let's keep going with these, and then we'll switch to another source. Then the AUSA, no further questions, redirect. AUSA, Miss Ventura, you were shown this message where you ended. I don't want to FO for the last time. I want it to be the first time for the rest of our lives. What did you say after that? Yes, I'm horny. Just got over a UTI. Girl. Prosecutor, you were shown messages today in which you and Sean were kind and loving. Yes. Did those periods ever last? Objection, overruled. No, they didn't last. They're a down swing. Hold on. What world did Sean open you up to? A world of chaos. In your 11-year relationship, who did you want to have S with? She's only him at that time. When Sean wrote, seduce me all day, what did you do? I wrote about FOs. Were you able to cancel work obligations for FOs? Yes, if I was told to. When you were shooting the movie in South Africa and you blocked him, how did he contact you? Through Mia. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to get to that. She said, through Mia. AUSA. He said he didn't remember hurting you. Did you believe him? Not always, because I knew him. There were times he was pretty aware of what he was doing. It's just who he was. I'd seen him be violent with other people. On the way back from cons, what did Sean do? He played a video of me having S with an escort. What did he say he'd do? That he'd release it. When you go to NY, what did Sean ask for? A FO, or he'd release it. This is establishing at least one incident, and all it takes is one. At least one incident of her doing it as a result of coercion. He coerced her because he said he was going to release a video if she didn't do it. Let's say that again. He played a video of you on the plane being with the escort because he was mad at her. What did he say you do? He'd release it. When you got to New York, what did he ask for? An FO. She's establishing she did it in response to the coercion. When Sean wrote, "You ready for tonight?" What did he mean? An FO. What were you afraid he would do if you did not do that FO? Objection overruled. I don't know that week. Next question. The judge is sick of him. So, okay, well, that didn't help. Hey, she said she don't know. She don't know. Do you have any doubt that Sean R-worded you? Objection overruled. I have no doubt. After Sean R-worded you on August 18th, did you later have consensual S with Sean, during which your now husband FaceTimed you? Lord have mercy. She said, yes. So y'all not gonna ask her why she had consensual S with this man who she said previously did the R word? Y'all know? Okay. Well, you know what? If I'm the prosecutor, I'm not gonna ask it either, because there's really not an answer that would help your side. Why did you cancel the tour? After I filed my civil suit, I was overwhelmed. Addressing the past the way that I chose to was overwhelming. I didn't want to go, child, duh. In fact, I'm sure whoever hired her for that tour, and I'm not familiar with Matt Testa, whoever hired her for that tour probably would have asked her to not come, because all she would have been was a distraction. Media would have been there. People would have been there trying to see if she was happy or sad, trying to judge her interaction with her husband. It would have been a ish show. It would have been nothing but a distraction. So to say, oh, she canceled it because she got the money, in other words, implying she did all of this for the money, is what the defense, and I don't blame them. You got to go there. She said, they asked, do you plan to file more lawsuits? She said, no. It ain't nothing else she could file about now. The statute of limitations is gone. Anything she could have filed about, those windows have closed. Would you give the $20 million back if you hadn't have had to do FOs? Objection overruled. I would give it back to get my agency back. By agency, she means her freedom, right? Because now she's being judged, she's in the media, all of that. She doesn't mean, I just want to clarify, she doesn't mean like her acting agency or something. I would give it back to get my agency back. Did he beat you during FOs? Yes. And she starts crying. Were you open to FOs at the beginning? At the beginning. Did you tell him when you no longer wanted to do them? Yes, more than once. What concerns did you have about saying no to FOs? Safety, career, love. That is there to help establish coercion. Hold on. Where she said, did you tell him you no longer wanted to do them? Yes, more than once. I would have tried, if there was time, I would have tried to put on the screen a text message of her telling him that towards the end to kind of wrap it up. The real question is, when there was the exchange that was read previously by Diddy's counsel, where he said one last one, and she said, I don't want it to be the last time. I want it to be like the first time, whatever she said up that way. That was an excellent place for them to end. Here we're back with the redirect. This is the government trying to redeem her. She says, it says, what concerns did you have about saying no to FOs? She said, safety, career, love. No further questions. Ms. Estavio, the defense, Estavio says, you knew Mr. Combs's preference was these FOs, right? She says, I learned. It was part of being his girlfriend. Yeah. You kept your old device. Yeah. And FO videos, in this case, they were all on those devices you kept from 2012 to 14. I don't know what year. Were you able to stand at his side at the Met Gala, being that his girlfriend gave you access to producers? Yes. Beyond Kid Cudi, what other musicians were you put in the studio with? Were you put in the studio with Nicki Minaj? Yes. No, this is the first and only reference to Nicki Minaj in this trial. Basically saying there a prior text that they're claiming related to Nicki was fake. That was AI. So she was putting it. Poor Nicki. Nicki's like, how I get into this? Nicki is sick of us. Nicki said, how did I get into this? She says, were you put in the studio with Lil Wayne? She said, yes. And with Rick Ross and Pusha T. Am I forgetting any names? You've got a lot of names. You are self-conscious about your musical talent. She said, I wouldn't say that. Now, let's be clear. To get in the studio with Nicki, Lil Wayne, Rick Ross, at her talent level, I'm sorry, girl, you're very pretty, but talent, we don't know about that. You could whisper sexy, but sing, maybe not. And they're asking her, were you self-conscious about your talent? Well, that was because we all saw that BET 106 in Park performance. I'm gonna play it for y'all. Maybe I can't play it because of music. But we all saw how that went. That was a debacle. Said you had a bad performance on 106 in Park early in my career. You did music videos. Were they successful? Judge, may we have a brief sidebar? You're getting sick of them. Okay. Combs Estavo. D-Rock was like a member of your family. Yes, like a brother. The assistant Mia. You also had a friendship with her. Yes, we're going to go back to Mia now. I'm going to write this down. We're not forgetting about Mia. I'm going to go back. We're going to talk about that Mia reference from up above. The assistant Mia, you had a friendship with her. Yes. Okay. Here you begin with an explicit message and he responds with one. You are actively sexting. You stated that you were feeling overwhelmed after filing your civil lawsuit, right? Yes. You recently received a settlement from the... Y'all, didn't I tell you? She said no. You made a demand. Yes. 10 million maybe. Give me my flowers. If y'all want to send me a super chat, sorry, if you want to send me a super chat in the chat right now, I would really appreciate that. I did a separate video for this morning. For those of you who were riding with me this morning, I have been saying for months, people talk about, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm lying. I have been saying, I told y'all, she got money from the Intercontinental. And the reason why nobody heard of it is Intercontinental had enough good freaking sense to pay her. So she never had to file suit. And they did that because Intercontinental is a publicly traded company. And if that video would have leaked and it would have been determined that they were aiding and abetting DV, their shareholders would have had their hide. In fact, they could have even been sued for breach of fiduciary duties, all kinds of things. So I told y'all. So let's go back through it. She says it was, yes, 10 million, maybe. Anything further? I just have one question. Hold on. This is Estavio. Yes, 10 million. And I told you it was 10 million. That would explain where the $30 million rumor, she got 20 from Diddy, 10 from Intercontinental. Thank you for my flowers. Anyone wants to give me a little dollar? You want to hit me a little dollar? I got, what is it? And my little cash app is in here. It's Miss Red Wine. Miss Red Wine. One thing I know is my practice. If you're ever injured anywhere in the nation, if you want to go from hurt to millionaire, give me a call. That number is 214-575-8300. All right, let's keep going. Stay with this. Okay, so she said, now this is Diddy's attorney. This was smart. I knew they were going to bring this out. What they're trying to establish is that this is largely about money for her. The Intercontinental, you received a settlement for them. She said, no. You made a demand. Yes, 10 million maybe. Remember, non-lawyers don't necessarily consider a demand a lawsuit, but that's fine. Judge, anything further? AUSA, I just have one question. Judge, I was asking Miss Estavio, can you wrap up in 2 minutes? Combs Estavio, this is the last thing I'll ask you to read. Miss Ventura. She said, thank you. We need closure and understanding. Cassie writes, we need closure and understanding. AUSA, why did you keep your devices? I was afraid of what was on them. I wouldn't take them to the Apple store. Estavio, one question. You just reached a $10 million settlement with Intercontinental last week before trial. Okay, I was wrong. It just happened. Anyway, last week before trial. Objection overruled. Yes, she says, yes. So I was wrong as the win, but I knew that money was coming, and I knew that policy was 10 million. Let's go. Judge, break. Next is a special agent that's supposed to take the stand. Okay, so it sounds like that was 27 minutes ago. All right. During the break, Combs is agnifilio. We object to the testimony of the witness after the special agent, Don Richards. Didn't I tell you Don might be coming up today? Didn't I tell you Don might be coming up? I sure did. I sure did. It says, we object to Don. Judge, why is this coming up at 3:30 p.m.? Going forward, You just address things before the courtroom. So why are submissions not in the docket? In other words, if you're one, you can't object to an entire witness for the first time verbally. You need to have a motion. You need to have a docket so that it can be on the public record, so that there is documentation of it. Okay, hold on a second. That was 22 minutes ago. Let me see if there's an update. Let me see if there's an update. Let's see. Child, that was a lot. Thank you, Stephanie. Oh, Stephanie sent me $5 Cash App. I really appreciate this because, yeah, y'all, this is kind of cutting in my work. But I'm really enjoying being with you guys. Just give me a quick second. I am confirming something. Hold on. Oh, my gosh. Yo. One thing I can't do, like, hold on. You cannot be my friend if you're a needy friend. Hold on. Send my escrow officer. Hold on. Hold on. Right person's number. Sorry about that. I just got to do this as an emergency. You can't be my friend if needed. I got people that keep calling me like 5 times about something that is not urgent. Nobody's on fire. Nobody's dead. Has somebody been hit by an 18-wheeler? Are they dead? Okay, then I will stop this live and I will deal with them because I don't play around with wrongful death cases. All right, so it says, we object to the testimony of the witness after the special agent, which is Don Richard. Judge, why is this coming up at 3:30? Before we get into that, hold on, let me read some of these questions and we're going to talk about Mia. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, Gwen is a new member. Thank you for joining, Gwen. Also, you guys, please hit that subscribe button. My goal is to get to, if I could, 50,000 subscribers. I'm not too far from that. Not too far at all. So I would really appreciate your help. Yeah. I would really appreciate your help with that. Hold on. Let's see what we got. Child. Here we go. All right, let's see what we got. Thank you, Gwen. All right, Cassie is a mess. Diddy is winning this case. Tracy Renee Rivera. Look, points are being made. That defense, if I was a juror, Diddy would be let go. And thank you for that super chat. Oh, thank you for the super sticker, Truth Karma Monroe. You were right. Started watching you today. Thank you, Acheed. What he's talking about is earlier this morning. I've been saying for a while, I was like, because some people were saying, why didn't she sue the hotel, and could she sue the hotel? And I was saying, absolutely. I bet what she did is she's pursuing the hotel likely under that same, under the same act that opened the window for things that happened back in 2016 and then reclosed them. Because in effect, the hotel is considered part of Diddy's enterprise. It could arguably be considered part of Diddy's enterprise because Diddy was able to control their behavior. It says, oh, wow, I felt the opposite, that the prosecutor won. It could be seen. I see it split. Yes, she got 10 million from the hotel. So that's what we talked about. I have been saying for months now, when that hotel video came out, I was like, oh, she got money from that. Her lawyers, Wigdor, they were tapping any and everybody they could get that money from. And the first thing that you do as an injury attorney, which is what I am, the first thing you do is you go after people. Number one, you want to go after any publicly traded companies who did wrong like that. Wrong where if the world found out about it, they would be disgusted. Think about how people would have boycotted the Intercontinental if they hadn't made run. Oh, we got an update. Hold on. Wait. We got an update. And thank you guys for this. All right, U.S. Here we go. 3 minutes ago, jury entering. Make sure you guys can see it. Yes. Okay. Jury entering. AUSA Madison Smizer. Good afternoon. Where do you work? This is Special Agent Yazin Binda, HSI, which is HSI in the human trafficking group, in the traffic group. Okay. Human traffic. We're going to call it traffic. in the traffic group. I'm in the crisis negotiation group too. Did you serve subpoenas in this case? Yes. When Sean Combs was arrested, where did you go? The Park Hyatt, room 2115, where he was staying. Photo of the entrance shown to the jury. What did you do? We assigned a letter to each room and began to search each room. He probably had multiple rooms under his reservation, like for his friends or if his sons or anybody else was with him. Because remember, before he got arrested, right, that was just seconds ago, before he got arrested, he was like posed in front of the hotel under the overhanging, under the awnings. And he was like, and he was taking pictures with people who seemed to be like, we're just out there chilling. And everyone was like, this looks ridiculous. It looked like a staged photo shoot, like a staged photo opportunity. She says, we assigned a letter to each and began to search. I bet the purpose of this witness is to get into evidence that when they searched his room, they found a whole bunch of substances so that they can basically say, he's not clean. He's not doing what he's supposed to now. Because again, the defense is trying to also rely on, listen, both of you guys were on substances. Both of you guys had a problem. This doesn't rise to the level of any crime to where he should have to go away for life. And that also they're trying to obtain somewhat sympathy from the jury based on the fact that he was addicted to substances. So here we go. Let's go. And today the cross is supposed to end by 4:30. So we got about 30 minutes, the U.S. says. Yeah, we got about 30 minutes left. Here we go. The Park Hyatt. Are we still waiting for an update? We assigned a letter to each room and began to search. Okay, we're waiting for that update. Still waiting. While we're waiting, I'm going to see what the Washington Post has for us. All right. Oh, looky. This is the Washington Post again. We're waiting for more tweets. I really appreciate you guys over here. It says Cassie is all done. So here's the update. Cassie is all done for the day. They're now using a special agent has come in. I'm going to assume the testimony from the special agent is going to be very brief, and that's why they let the special agent come on the stand versus Don. Remember, I broke to you guys yesterday before anyone else. I told you guys when I made my little graphic, my thumbnail for today, I knew Don was coming up in here. So Don is already arrived at the courthouse, but Diddy's team is objecting to her testifying. We'll see. There's only 30 minutes left, so I don't see how they're going to get to her. But I'm continuing to read here. Here we go. Well, we've got Don arrived at the courthouse. It says Don, a singer from the group who first met him in 2004 on the set of Making the Band, accused him of and physical hurting her in a lawsuit filed last year. This is an excerpt of the full story. Let's go up. Cassie has finally completed her testimony and left the stand after spending 4 consecutive days in her final trimester testifying against former boyfriend Combs. After the court took a break, Combs hugged his attorney, Anna Estavio, who cross-examined her for hours yesterday and today. The two stood and chatted for a while. Y'all, yesterday, Diddy was pissed. I have inside sources on his legal team who have said he was not happy. He sat there with Post-it notes. He went through the whole entire stack of Post-it notes with things that he wanted. He felt like that his team was not going hard enough on her. But today, what they concluded with the text where towards the end, she's over here asking him for she basically is telling him he's asking one last FO, and she responds saying, I don't want it to be the last one. I want it to be the first one. What the hell does that mean? As well as her own post after the video came out on the CNN video, her own post referred to it as DV. That was clutch for him. In the trial, it's going to wrap up its first week of testimony. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. We got a new tweet. No, we're still waiting on another tweet, a follow-up from the investigator. It says, in the trial will wrap up its first week today with more questions for the prosecutor's star witness, blah, blah, blah. Defense spent, it says, Ventura, who was in a decades-long relationship, has already spent 3 days on there. She described in graphic detail the FOs and testified Combs arred her. Defense spent most of Friday finishing their wide-ranging cross of her, who was confronted with old texts and emails in which she expressed love for him, enthusiasm for the parties, as well as violent outbursts in which she acknowledged he was attacking, as well as violent outbursts of attacking and threatening people. Prosecutors hope to call a new witness later Friday, Dawn Richard, former singer in Danity Kane, who's filed the lawsuit accusing him of the abuse. We're going to go over that a little later. Hold on, after we get this part. And claiming she saw Combs assault Ventura. At least 2 other women using pseudonyms are also expected to testify later in the trial. These are the updates. Yeah, okay, that's the most recent update. Most recent was 10 minutes ago. It's 4:07, and they're supposed to wrap up today at 4:30. Let's see. Did y'all really? They did not need to. Did they really need to call this darn investigator now? Like, why now? The investigator must be going on vacation or something. Because y'all should have started with Dawn. We are here for Dawn. Get Dawn started. Hell. Get Dawn up there. But what they also did, okay. So what did you guys think of how the cross ended? What do you think about how they ended? Where they basically, not only did they get her to admit that she also got, that she got 20 million from Diddy and got 10 million from the Intercontinental, and just solidified that last week. They also got her to admit that she was intimate with Diddy after she alleged the R thing happened, and it was consensual, and that while they were doing that consensual do, she was with her husband, FaceTimed her. Her husband later found out that she was intimate with him, with Diddy, while they were supposed to be together, and got so mad he punched a wall, they said. They also, let's see, confirmed that she herself acknowledged, here we go, that she acknowledged that this was about DV. And she acknowledged it in writing on her own IG page. Now, the prosecution did try to do a job of what they call rehabilitating their witness by bringing up the fact that they use the example at cons, where at cons, they got into an argument, her and Diddy. Diddy threatened to release some of her videos. Then on the plane, began showing them in the public area. And then when he got back to New York, he threatened to release them. And in turn, she did an FO. They tried to link it and say she was doing that to appease him, to prevent him from the FO. In other words, what we would otherwise see as revenge P, which it is, they're trying to link it to the coercion to ST. All right, AUSA, what was your role? We assigned a letter to each room. They're going back to this witness is talking about her examination of Diddy's room after his arrest and what she did when she examined it. What was your role, Agent Benda? I took photographs of items, then signed them on the 6051 form. Was this found in the closet? Photos, plastic jars full of baby oil and Astroglide. Okay. Oh, I see what there's. Child, y'all, that's, whoop, I need to bookmark that bad boy. I see why they called her in that order. They said, wait. Okay, we're done with Cassie, and y'all gonna let Cassie go. But we want you guys to leave for the weekend, and we want the last thing on y'all's mind for this weekend to be the fact that when Diddy came to New York, knowing he was about to be arrested at any point, he brought with him in his room bags full of baby oil, Johnson & Johnson to be specific, and Astroglide. In other words, he was ready for a FO. He said, well, before I go to, hold on, let me switch it. Hold on, guys. Hold on, y'all need to see this. My bad. Nope, share it. Here we go. There we go. Here we go. Literally, it says, this fool. AUSA, what was your role? I took photographs of the items and then signed the form. What was found in the closet? Plastic bags full of J&J's baby oil. J&J stock must really be going up. And Astroglide bottles. He said, well, if I can get one last FO in here before I got to go to the jailhouse, before I got to go to lockup, let me just get one off. That man may have an addiction. He might really have an addiction. Also, keep in mind, he needs the baby oil because remember, he likes to watch as others perform, so to speak. Child, this is so wild. Oh my gosh. That's an addiction. Don't you guys think? There he is. Justice says, so addicted. Hit the subscribe button, guys. I really appreciate it. We're trying to get me to 50,000 subscribers if we can before the end of the month. She says, and I am about 2,000 short, 2,500. If everybody in the chat, we've got, oh, wow. Thank you, guys. We've got 4,500 in here. If everyone in here hits that subscribe, I will make my goal. Thank you for the super chat. Alex should be side-eyeing Cassie. She is trifling. Oh, Tracy. Oh, Tracy, you called her trifling. Which part was most trifling to you, Tracy? Do you think it was the fact that effectively Alex thought that he was saving her? You know, they say she don't want to be saved. He felt he was saving her. That was her confidant. He was her personal trainer. We're waiting for more text, you guys. He was her personal trainer. And I'm sure he heard all the bad stuff and he was giving her the confidence and everything to leave. That has to be heartbreaking for him to hear that as he was doing his best to pour into her so that she can start a new life, a safe life, getting off the substances and really just pouring into her, she still went back one more time. And you actually FaceTimed her and she didn't answer because she was laid up with that man who had already, according to her, R-worded her just weeks or months before. That has to be disappointing that your love wasn't enough back then. It is now. There's no doubt about that. So she did stay away ultimately. But I would like to know more about the exact time of the updated text messages where, especially that text message where he says one last FO. It's like Diddy knew it was time to let her go. You could tell Diddy knew it was time to let her go. Diddy also probably knew. Diddy knew she had a new somebody. And Diddy said, can I hit it one more time? Because he already hit it the one time they started dating. What was your role? Okay, then they've added this. I took photograph. Here we go. All right, then this is after she said, what was your role? I took photographs of the items and signed the form. What was found? Plastic bags full of J&J baby oil and Astroglide bottles, honey. What was found in the bathroom? Several bottles of baby oil. Now, the bedroom. What was found in the LV bag? Medication in the name of Frank Black. Whoop! Oh, Frank Black. Y'all, Frank Black is the alias that he often used. And Cassie referred to him as Frank Black in text messages before. They sometimes also use the initial FB. I had previously read it incorrectly. I thought FB was Facebook, but it's not. Frank Black. That's a crime too. I see they didn't add that in there. But they could call to the stand, likely one of his staff members who was directed to pick up, because they said he would order substances in other people's name and have them pick them up. That is further proof of an enterprise behavior, because that is an offense. That's a crime. Now, it is not a crime listed in the indictment, so I don't think that'd be good enough to prove RICO, but it is sufficient to prove that basically he had all these workers doing unlawful things. Frank Black, y'all. Frank Black. Frank Black. Let me see some of these comments. Frank Black. Thank you for that super chat. Oh man, several bottles of baby oil. Y'all, the other thing, really, it says Biggie called himself Frank White. Did he really? So, yep. Oh, they also, the other bombshell was Jonathan Odie. That is right. They confirmed that Jonathan Odie was compensated. Man, that was fascinating. Cassie, that Tootsie Roll. Wait, Cassie liked it. It says Cassie likes that Tootsie Roll. Y'all, I put the Tootsie Roll in the thumbnail because earlier this week someone had filed a new Jane Doe filed a suit against him, and she said that he assaulted her, but that when he dropped his pants, she was a bit relieved because she said it was the size of a Tootsie Roll, and therefore she felt like, oh, it won't hurt as much. Child, when I read that Tootsie Roll, and now 50 Cent has reposted because she wrote that in the actual, her lawyer wrote that in the actual petition. That lawyer is dragging him. You hear me? Was dragging him the Tootsie Roll. Yeah, Cassie did want that Tootsie Roll. That lawyer who wrote, I don't think I would have put Tootsie Roll in there, but I get what he was doing. So let's see if we got an update on the text. Let's see. It is 4:17 there. Court is supposed to adjourn today at what is it? At 4:30. So let's see. We got another one. No, we got medicine in the name of Frank Black. Frank Black, y'all. All right, now I'm going to switch over. Let me see what Washington Post, if they've got any updates over here. It says 2 new updates. What do they have here? It says, all right. Prosecution is called. Let's do this one. Prosecution has called their next witness, Special Agent Yasmin Binda, an investigator in the Department of Homeland Security's human such and such group. You know what it is. It's unclear if they will also be time for Sean's former band member, Don Richard, to testify against him this week, or if Binda's testimony will take up what's left of the day. Because remember, they do get to cross-examine her. And then there could be a recross. But it seems like she's going to be very specific on what she talks about and specific to what was found in the room. It says, Yasmin Binda, a special agent, testified she participated in a raid in his hotel room at the Park Hyatt in September. He was arrested in the lobby of that hotel. Before Combs' arrest, Binda had been handling logistics at the agency's office in Manhattan, was well acquainted with the operational details of a federal investigation into Combs. She is describing entering a multi-room unit at the hotel and taking inventory and evidence. Let me see. This is just, okay. This is just a summary from this. All right. Anything else? I don't think there's another update. All right. Let's see. All right. We got another one. So she said, they found several bottles of baby oil and medication in the name of Frank Black. And then it says, and what, here we go. And then it says, and that is this. I guess they're holding something. Or what is this is probably what they said. Bags of pink powder found in the medicine bottle. Stipulation shown agreeing it was found and tested by Customs and Border Patrol lab. The pink powder was found to be K and MDMA. The initials, the letter M, the letter D, the letter M and A in a bottle. Y'all, this is what they found in Diddy's hotel room as they were arresting him. Oh, somebody said Cassie's daughter's name is Frankie. If she loved that name, she could name her baby whatever she wanted. Yeah, I don't think it was over him. Diddy said he's not a shower but a grower. Well, he gives. I said I believe the Tootsie Roll allegation that Diddy is shaped like a Tootsie Roll because he gives Slender D energy. He's Slender D all up in that thing. Okay, it might be a decent link, but that thing is slender. Okay, it don't plump when you cook it. It ain't a ballpark Frank, baby. That's the energy he gets. Whenever you meet those guys who are always angry, like he is, or overdo it, like how he's, always trying to beat somebody up, how he picked up that kettlebell and hit his son Justin's, UCLA football coach in the head with a kettlebell because he got mad at him. That's Slender D energy. That's what a Slender D will do. Use your words. Use your words. Because he can't just pull that thing out and impress nobody. And that also is consistent and makes sense, you guys. We're waiting for more texts. It's consistent with why he liked to see Cassie with the BBC, which stands for Big Black BBC, because that's the opposite of him. He would always make her go for these real big guys because he was Slender Man. It also makes sense why he wasn't really participating with the three of them, right? Because he didn't want nobody to see that little slender cock. He didn't want you to see his Tootsie Roll. No, he was over there like the porn director. Remember, his side is using This Is Simple DV and also using the imagery of porn. This is just porn. Like he's a porn director. He's just sitting back, porn director, just sitting there jizzing, stroking it, jizzing it as he go. Baby oil, telling people, more baby oil, directing them. More baby oil. Y'all, I got my water. Here we go. Hold on, y'all. This how I do. Hold on, let me show you. I got my water. More baby oil. More baby oil. And the other hand is stroking it. More baby oil. More baby oil. Stroking it. Okay. That's how it was. It was like a 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I think this is how it goes. It goes like this. I'm not left-handed. You get it. You get it. All right. We're waiting for more updated text. We're waiting for more updated text. I think this is going to be the last witness of the day. So Pink. So this is good. What they're trying to establish immediately after Cassie is this. Because my question was, why didn't y'all, sorry, I didn't got these. Y'all, I didn't got baby oil drops all on my computer. I mean, on my camera. Hold on. I'm sorry. Goddamn baby oil. Johnson & Johnson. Sorry, guys. I was trying to really bring it home. I really wanted to make you guys feel like you were at a FO. Sorry. So feel free to hit that tip jar, MISS Red Wine on Cash App. You should see my picture. It's there, or what have you. Or you could just do a super chat or a little sticker. What they're really trying to bring home is you see how the defense tried to conclude it and end it with Diddy. Listen, Diddy had a substance challenge. In other words, he was a victim, so to speak, too. They're both dealing with substances. They were both wilding out on each other. She wasn't really wilding out on him. They didn't have evidence of that. But the substances, what the prosecution is saying is, don't y'all fall for it before y'all go home this weekend. Don't you fall for it. This man has not stopped nothing. He had all the substances and the FO materials with him in his bag at the hotel as he was waiting to be arrested. Because they were trying to negotiate for him to be able to turn himself in. And the feds said, no, this was clever. Because if the feds had allowed him to turn himself in, there would be no grounds for them to then search the hotel room like this. This was genius. I actually think this is going to hurt him just as far as how the jury is going to be able to sympathize with him. It's going to make it difficult. Because they're going to say, oh, no, y'all were gassing us up. Y'all were gaslighting us. He's not trying to get better. Because remember, they talked to us. They also included the fact that in 2012 or 2016, 2012, I think it was, he had OD'd. And in 16, he went to rehab. So they're really trying to establish that. But this says, no, see, he ain't stopped nothing. We're waiting for some more text messages. They're supposed to go to about 4:30, which has about 6 more minutes in it. We're waiting for that. Maybe they can use it for trafficking. Use which part? The drugs, possibly. The substances, possibly. Well, the substances, let me see. Substances also can go towards coercion, because if the way that you get someone to do something is via intoxicating them with substances, that is considered coercion. Says Cassie's innocent, just a little bit slippery. Child. This man had FO materials in his Louis Vuitton bag, waiting to get arrested the next day. He said, let's make every moment count. I want to know who went in that room. If he was setting it up with anything, I would be surprised if Miss Gina was supposed to be rolling through, because that Gina, she can't get enough of that man. Gina wants to compete. She ain't. They talked earlier this morning about how Cassie's said that her last straw was when, okay, we got more text. Cassie's last straw was when uh, uh, Gina posted a photo of the two of them together, and Cassie thought that he was no longer messing with Gina. All right, here's what we got. We just talked about the AUSA said they found pink powder, found to be the K word, and some initials in the bottle. You know, that's the stuff that makes you super happy. Now it says physical evidence is passed around to the jury, and then a photo is shown. What was found in the black mini backpack? $9,000. Please take the cash out of the bag, Agent Benda does, fanning out the bills. What was your role? Oh, okay, that was from before. I took photos of the other. Listen, this is why this man probably didn't get no bail. This is why the man probably didn't get any bail. To you guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. Someone has all them type of substances and $9,000 cash in a fanny pack. What do you think they finna do? Yes, Brendan Paul was allegedly his dealer. I wouldn't be surprised if he's going to be a witness. They're going to line his butt up. I think he's going to be a witness. How late can court run? As late as the judge would like. I remember the Rocky trial used to run into the evening. Yeah. Now, remember, Rocky was also in California, so it may have felt late if you're on a different coast. But it can go as late as the judge. Sometimes the judge won't want it to be wrapped up until they get to a good stopping point. So I'm going to assume they'll probably stop with the direct examination and then Monday resume to allow any cross. But the answer is late. But what it is in New York is, because this is a federal case, these people are not just coming from New York City. They got people from Westchester, Richland County. It's like 5 different counties all comprise the Southern District. So he probably wants to let them go at a reasonable enough time for them to get home, because some of these people probably have an hour to hour and a half commute, and you don't want to, PO the jurors. Who's on the stand now? On the stand is an investigator from Homeland Security. Specifically, she is the investigator who searched his room after he was arrested. And what they've established is that he had all the FO materials that he needed in the room after they arrested him. In other words, he brought it. He said, hey, I'm going to sit up in this hotel room waiting to get locked up. Well, we're going to have a party. He had baby oil. He had lube. He had MDMA. And he had a bottle with someone else's name on it that had the pink stuff on it, okay? The pink cocaine. That stuff was on there. Says that's true. This is on the West Coast. If a man over 21 paid for S before Diddy, why is, if they're over 21 and he paid for it, why is Diddy going to jail? Well, we can get into that again, but one of the charges here is transportation for prostituta. That is illegal. So they have already proven that he paid people to go from one state to another and meet him for FOs. That is a federal crime and it is a felony. All right. Then they just said that, yep, they got the money. There we go. They're fanning the money, the $9,000 around, letting the jury take a look at the $9,000. They done pass this money around the jury and with the mini fanny pack. $9,000. That's why this man didn't get bail. So many people are saying, well, this person or that person got bail. Here's the thing. Harvey Weinstein did not get bail in his federal case. Jeffrey Epstein did not get bail in his federal case for the same thing. And R. Kelly did not get bail in the federal case. Those who got bail, it was for their state case. So this $9,000 was probably seen as a flight risk, among other things. Now, the good thing is it doesn't seem like he had his passport, but we all know this man owns a jet. This man owns a plane. He ain't got to have no passport. He slide the right pilot, the right amount of money. Look, if you can get pilots to fly crack for you, you can certainly get a pilot to let you on the plane without a passport. Now, let's think this through. Wait, what? Was he really about to have another FO? Yes. Hold on. I'm going to scroll back up. Anyone joining us now, the bombshell we just went through is currently on the stand is Homeland Security trafficking agent, Agent Yasmin Binda. The Binda stated that she came to his hotel after he was arrested, searched the hotel, and tagged the evidence. And when she was there, she took photos and she tagged plastic bags full of J&J baby oil, it says right here, and Astroglide bottles. This was September of 24 as he got arrested. They arrested him. They searched the room immediately. Astroglide bottles and a full bottle of J&J. Also, medication, it said, in the name of Frank Black, which is his alias, showing Cassie was telling the truth that he would get other people to get medication in their names. And they also saw bags of pink powder found in a medicine bottle, probably the medicine bottle that had the other person's name on it, the fake name, correction. And the pink powder was found to be the K word. You can see it on the screen, and initials M to the D to the M to the A in a bottle. And then they found a black fanny pack with $9,000 cash. Oh, you know what? Even if he wasn't going to flee, that cash was probably to pay whatever FO worker was about to bust it wide open and you tell him bring it back. Bust it wide open, tell him bring it back. Y'all look at the backdrop in case you haven't peeped it. This is the day room. No, this is the day room. This is the jail cell, just kind of in honor of what we've got going on here. This is jail cells. That's what we've got. I'm your legal bestie, Attorney Symone. Thank you for joining us. If you're just coming in, hit that subscribe button. I will be covering this consistently. It says, who was he about to FO? That is the question. $9,000 make it rain. Listen, I'll need to stretch first because my knees are bad. I will do something strange for 9,000. You can't urinate on me, that's for sure. That's gross. Thank you, Chaz. $9K for someone as rich as Diddy, who uses that kind of money is pocket. You know what, Atlanta Bird Gang? I was thinking the same thing, y'all. We're waiting for some final text. We want to see an update. Court should be concluding any day now. But here's the thing. I want to wait and I want to see exactly what the judge says today. Because what they may do is they may dismiss the jury and then they may deal with arguments or issues between each side. Because earlier today, after they finished with Cassie, the prosecution said they're going to call the special agent and then they want to call Don Richards. Diddy's team said, object. We object, Your Honor, to calling Don Richards to the stand. They didn't say today. They said at all. And the judge is like, what? You going to tell me this now at 3:30? At the end of the day that y'all don't want Don? Don was already on the list. So hopefully we're going to hear arguments they have as to what is the defense's objection to hearing testimony from Don? Because Don filed a civil suit against him, so she's not a surprise. All right, so we are still waiting. They fanned out the bills. Yes. Don said, I'm ready. Don was looking cute. They'd already showed Don. It didn't come up in the courtroom. She is there and she is ready. All right, it says, oh, hold on. We got some more here too. Share this. All right. The Washington Post update says, in addition to the baby oil and the lube, evidence taken during the raid, they also recovered an external hard drive. Oh boy. Oh, that's going to be good. That's going to be good. I want to know if it contains any of the videos that he would use to blackmail people. That goes to coercion. 1 minute ago, they also said she's describing his multi-room hotel suite. Okay, so that's right. He had multiple rooms that he purchased, and obviously you can only sleep in one room at a time. They said there was a blue mood lighting in the corner of one room. In the bathroom, agents found 5 additional bottles of oil and lubricant that had been stored in the bathtub. They found a Louis Vuitton bag with a bottle of meds prescribed to Frank Black and separate pill bottle, the big K word, MDMA, and in a nightstand by the bed, there were 2 more bottles of lubricant. He was ready for an FO, y'all. He was ready for an FO. I want to know who was supposed to be coming up there. Young Miami, was you coming? Girls, you coming? I could see him sending for you. He sent for you. He said, I wanted to knock me out real good before I go to prison. And I feel like that wouldn't be the first time Young Miami has, done it to an inmate or former inmate. She's got a breadth of a story. But Atlanta Birdgain said 9,000 because he was found with $9,000 in his purse or MERS, whatever it is. 9,000 for someone as rich as him who lives that kind of life is just pocket change. That's a good argument. If I were representing him, I would say that to argue, hey, this was pocket change for him. This is just spending money on a day for tipping for that. This is not money to flee the country. Because you're right. To flee the country, he would probably have a duffel bag full of stuff. This seems more like money to pay an S worker. She said, Carisha, please. Somebody said it was Cassie. No. Diddy is exactly where he needs to be. Oh, gotcha. All right, we are waiting for an update. We want to see what's next there. Tasha Ward, thank you so much for the super chat. I love your coverage. Cassie turned her pain to money. Hopefully she and Alex will stay together because after hearing about her enjoying the FOs, I would be divorcing her and getting half of her money. Y'all, I keep thinking about how he could get half of that money. Here's how it works under the law. If her money, here's what's interesting. If her money was for income, lost income, he would be entitled to a portion of that, whatever portion would have covered what she could have earned during the marriage, right? But if it's for emotional distress, pain, and suffering, that component, he's not entitled to that because that is a injury unique to her. But if it was for income, when you're married, your income, technically the right to it is split 50-50, which is why some people, have to split their stuff. So what I would have did as her lawyer is I would add a little line in there that says 100% of this is for her pain and suffering. Also, pain and suffering is not tax deductible. Yeah, but income money is taxed. I mean, not taxable, it's taxable. Pain and suffering is not taxable. Money that is representative income would. I would have put some language in there that said all of this is pain and suffering and then made sure that it was consistent with the state. Thank you so much, Tasha Ward. Again, we're waiting for one more update before they close out so that even if she had to divorce, she could keep the money. All right. Alex should be sign-eyeing her. That's right. Alex was not ready for that cross. I don't think, that was special. That was special. All right. Did you see the transcripts to the Fed's rebuttal of the defense's cross? She debunked that weird 2010 text and also that he introduced her to the chaos. Now, hold on. Let's see. We are waiting for an update. Okay. We got one more. Hold on. Update. All right. So the last thing was the $9,000 cash that, they shared that with the jury. No further questions. Any cross. Comes Terry Garagos in the hotel room. Did you see any bags and clothing indicating that a woman was staying with him there? Yes. I knew they were going to do that. They're going to try and establish that stuff belonged to someone else. Very smart. Very smart. So let's find out who that woman was. Harpo, who this woman? Harpo, who is this woman? Harpo, who is this? Throughout Friday's testimony, Combs kept lowering his head to write a steady stream of messages on small little sheets of paper. He's been writing on those Post-it notes. It says, all right, we're ready for our update. We're still waiting. Because I feel like Terry Garagos has got more to say than that. While we're waiting on that, I'm going to tell you what else is saying on the other pages. Combs kept lowering his head to write a steady stream. Anna Estavio, who's questioning Cassie, and Mark Agnifilo, the attorney who has spoken frequently to the judge during breaks. Special agent was testifying. All right. Speaking to reporters outside the courthouse, Cassie's lawyer, Douglas Wigdor, said it's too early to tell whether Cassie would consider going back into the entertainment industry. I think right now she's focused on her family, putting this behind her, and giving birth to a healthy child. Asked whether she might give birth any day now, Wigdor smiled, nodded, and said, in the coming days, yes. You did not break her spirit, Cassie's husband says to Diddy and his supporters. Okay. And a statement from Alex Fine read by Cassie's attorney. Fine said he's standing with her. He said, I don't care about that cross-examination. He's saying, over the past 5 days, the world has gotten to witness the strength and bravery of my wife, freeing herself of her past. I have felt so many things sitting there. I have felt tremendous pride and overwhelming love for Cass. I have felt profound anger that she had been subjected to sitting in front of a person who tried to break her. So, to him and all of those who helped him along the way, please know this: you did not. You did not break her spirit, nor her smile that lights up every room. You did not break the souls of a mother who gives the best hugs and plays the silliest games with our little girls. You did not break the woman who has made me a better man. He added that it is an insult to say he saved her. Cassie saved Cassie. She alone broke free from abuse, coercion, violence, and threats. Oop, you see how that language tracks the language of the RICO. Abuse, coercion, violence, and threats. She did the work of fighting the demons that only a demon himself could have done to her. Whew. And then let's see. We got anything more from Garagos? Looks like that might be okay. We got it. Hold on. We got an update. More text. Garagos, remember, Garagos just asked, in the hotel room, did you see anything indicated a woman was staying with him? She said, yes. The U.S. may call its next witness. Your Honor, the government calls Don Richards. Woo! Sorry, y'all. Wow, 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 wow. I need some side effects. Wow. Wow. Sorry. We can come back to this. Wow, wow, wow. Y'all, Don is in the building. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm going to do my own side effects for right now. Hold on, I got it. Hold on. What do we got? Hold on. All right, okay. Let's go. I'm going to make this bigger. You don't need to see my big face. We need to know what Don is over here talking about. Here we go. Y'all ready? They have called Don to the stand. We ready. I'm so excited. The U.S. may call its next witness. Your Honor, the government calls Don Richard. So it looks like we're going past it's 4:43 over there. So it sounds like they just needed to be done with Cassie by 3:30, which they were. Your Honor, the government calls Don Richard. Where are you from? New Orleans, Louisiana. That's why she's amazing. That's where my family is from. Love it. From 2004 to 2011, who did you work for? Puff, Sean Combs. Do you see him? Who is depicted in this photo? Cassie. In 2019, did you observe an incident between Puff and Cassie? She was attacked by him, kicked. Did you see more violence by him against her? Often. 9 seconds ago. Often. Ooh, oh, snap. Oh, snap. We in that thing, y'all. We in that thing. Hold on. Let me just refresh this really quick. Oh, there we go. Okay. We're in this thing. Somebody said, sounds like a cat. Alex is just loving it. Her husband should stand with her. Absolutely. I'm gonna get some sound effects buttons. I'm gonna work on that. Okay. I just wasn't ready for all this. Don is on the stand, guys. Don Richards is on the stand. Question: is this a DV case or? Good question, LBS. We've talked about that. I believe the foundation of what Cassie established was not just, yes, so much of what was discussed absolutely was DV, but part of her goal as one of the initial witnesses was to establish that he was a jerk, that you cannot trust him or his side, and to establish just how powerful he was. Because if he was able to, for example, as she was escaping a beatdown and running down the street, send his own security to go get her and bring her back to him. Imagine what else he could do. If he was strong enough, he was powerful enough to make the beating video disappear for $100K. What else could he coerce someone to do? It was laying a foundation. All right, let's see. We're waiting on some more of these texts. We're waiting on some more. Come on down. It says, next. She said, often. It says, AUSA, were you a member of this group? Showing a picture of dirty money. She says from 2009 to 2011. The incident in 2009 when Combs beat her. Where was it? In his LA home. We were recording, she says. Now let me put this down. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was holding it at that time. We were recording, she says. Ciao. So let's talk about what I think. Thank you so much, Erica B. Hit that subscribe button. Are you new? Let me know if you guys are new to watching me. I truly appreciate it. I'm your legal bestie, attorney Symone. I break down celebrity cases on social media, and I do it in the same way that when I talk to my homegirls at brunch drunk. I created the channel because people would ask me to like break down legal cases all the time. So I was like, all right, well, let me get like some pennies for it. All right. Thank you. Zoe, you're new. Oh, thank you, all you newbies. Hit that subscribe. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. This is the most I've ever received in a super chat. Oh my gosh. Jacqueline, thank you for bringing and explaining the facts of this case. Thank you. So I was a law professor at Thurgood Marshall School of Law, which is here in Houston, where I'm based. And I loved it, but I couldn't afford it. I literally couldn't afford to keep teaching there because of the amount of work. I taught 8 classes, and based on the governmental budget, they could only pay me $1,000 to teach 8 classes. Imagine, that was like 16 to 20 hours of work a month. It was a lot. So I decided to take my teaching talents to YouTube. So here we are. But I've been practicing. Here we go. We're waiting for more updates. All right. I've been practicing since 2008, child. So almost 20 years, like 16, 17 years. Don Richards is on the stand. Here's what I think Don is going to speak to. Actually, while we're waiting on more text, I'm going to read from you for you. Dang it. I guess I didn't looked at too much stuff. Hold on. $29 a month. I think this. Okay, hold on. I'm just going to pay for this. This is getting on my nerves. 1 second. I want to read to you guys. There's a really quick article about Don Richards from September of 24. But this was right around the time she filed her lawsuit. So as we're waiting for more stuff, I want to give you guys a background of her lawsuit so that you can see how it fits into things. All right. Yeah, her last, okay, we're still waiting on some updated text. We're not there yet. All right, Don, okay, we got an update. So it says, the last question was asked was, were you a member of the group? And she said, yeah, from 11 to 09 to 11. The incident in 09 when Combs hurt Cassie, where was it? In his LA home. We were recording. So he don't even care who's around. What did he do? He was saying, where the F is my food? He grabbed a black skillet with eggs and tried to hit her over the head. Cassie dropped to the ground. What did she do? She went into fetal position. Again, that's DV though, guys. That's DV. So thank you again, Jacqueline. I really appreciate it. SW, thank you for that super chat. Shauna C, thanks for sharing your knowledge and commentary. Hit that like button, guys. Yes, please. Someone had asked earlier, wasn't Brendan Paul his alleged dealer? Yes, and I'm here to say this. Don't be surprised if Brendan Paul ends up testifying in this case. That was a guy who was arrested on the plane with him, and he had substances. He had substances with him when they arrested him. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if he ends up testifying because he got a really sweet deal. Now, he was a first-time offender, but he was found at an international airport with the substances. And peep this. When you are found with anything, when you commit any offense at an airport, as you know, that is a federal offense. He could have been charged with federal drug, substance trafficking, but he wasn't. They only charged him with state, and they went light. They gave him a first-time offender thingy. Therefore, what I'm trying to say here is chances are they went easy on him because they want him on the federal side to testify, and they probably hung over his head. Hey, if you don't, even though your state has given you probation and you have the ability to get your record expunged, if you don't cooperate with us, we can charge you federally. You would be facing a minimum of such and such many years. And that boy, if you've seen him, he looked real dirty. He looks stinky. He looks like he stinks and like he wears shorts to his class in college in the winter with socks and Birkenstocks. That's what he looks like. He does not look like he would do well in prison. All right. It says, we're waiting for more text. I wouldn't expect a layperson to use S trafficking to describe their circumstance. Good point. DV is great point. So SW is referring to one of the slam dunks on the side of the defense is at the end when they were crossing Cassie. They put up a post that Cassie made after the video came out, the CNN video. And in that, she referred to what she experienced as DV. SW is saying, that's normal. I wouldn't expect a regular person to call it S trafficking to describe their circumstances. That's true under these facts. DV is probably the only way she knew to describe it. Thank you. And thank you so much. Be more cutie. Appreciate you. All right, let's see. We got some more. This is Dawn Richards on the stand, y'all. I believe that Dawn's probably okay, we got more. She just stated that Diddy got mad at Cassie, started yelling, "Where the F is my food?" Grabbed a black skillet with eggs in them. You couldn't at least pour the eggs out. Now everybody's eggs is flying across the room. Grabbed the skillet with the eggs and tried to hit her over the head. She dropped to the ground. This is Cassie. Cassie dropped to the ground and went into the fetal position. And then what? Sean Combs was kicking her in the head and the body and then dragged her up to the first floor. Glass breaking and yelling. I was scared for her and for me too. Did you intervene? No. Did you call the police? She says no. Again, they're going to need for the layperson to start using keywords or something to tie this into more than DV. I think the challenge is going to be, hold on. Oh, sorry. The challenge is going to be that this is a lot of information for you to hear. And if a juror doesn't know how to place the facts, it makes it more difficult for that juror to know what crime this may or may not go towards. It's kind of like when I do consultations and with people, they'll call me and I handle a variety of matters. They'll call me sometimes and then they will just start telling me their facts. And I have to say, hold on, one moment, please. Can you tell me your question first before you give me the facts? Otherwise, I don't know where to place each specific fact. And they'll say, okay, I understand. But here, I think part of the challenge is going to be that, okay, we're getting these facts, and it absolutely does look like these are strong facts for DV. But if they're trying to say this also goes to ST, the traffic part, it's almost like I feel like they need to give signal words or something. Because here's the thing. You get an opening and you get a closing, but you don't get to speak directly to the jury until then. Now, what they do get, we're waiting on more updated text. What they do get is to give what's called a jury instruction. Here we go. And in that instruction, here we go. We got more. In that instruction, they outline for the jury, if they prove this, then then you can find them guilty of this. All right. He was saying, where's my food? The glass was breaking. Okay. We still don't have an update on that. While we're waiting for this, let me check another source. All right. It says, the next day, what happened? That it has, she says, that it has been passionate. And I guess the next day what happened, I guess Cassie said it has been passionate and she was okay. That it would be better if we didn't talk. That people could end up missing. Oh, Lord. How did you understand that? Death. Objection. Sidebar. Okay. I think what she's sharing is she's saying she spoke with Cassie after that happened. And that when she did, Lord have mercy. What does it say? I need a red wine brunch here in Houston ASAP. I'll be on the lookout. Sure will. Thank you. Thanks so much for the super chat as well. So what she's saying here, okay, I know people got to go to work and stuff. It says the next day, what happened? Okay. Yeah, she said that she was okay, that it would be better if we didn't talk, that people could end up missing. How did you understand that? Death. While we are waiting on that, I just want to refresh your mind about Dawn's prior lawsuit against her. So as we're waiting for this update, and I'm going to share this. Danny Kane's Don Richard sues Combs for alleged abuse. In a new lawsuit, she accuses him of groping and threatening her, among other things, and throwing a scalding hot pan of eggs at Cassie. She just testified to that. All right. In the complaint filed in the Southern District of New York, same place as this criminal case, she claims Combs was abusive throughout the 8 years they worked together, which spanned her time in Danity Kane and later as a member of the trio Dirty Money. Lawsuit accuses him of groping her, threatening her, and subjecting her to inhumane working conditions. Richard also claims to have witnessed Combs get physical with other women, including Cassie and Kim Porter. We're going to go back to the text. We're just waiting. So I'm giving you guys this update, refresher on Dawn Richards' lawsuit, her civil suit against him. Combs denied the series of false claims in her lawsuit in a statement provided by his lawyer. The statement said that the singer is seeking a payday conveniently timed to coincide with her album release and press tour. It also noted their continued work together during the 20-year friendship. Since her first encounter with Combs during auditions and on the set of Making the Band in 2004, Richard alleged the producer created a hostile work environment, berating contestants with disparaging, gender-based remarks and criticizing their appearances. We saw it ourselves. Later during the lawsuit, Combs would subject her and her bandmates to grueling work conditions, depriving them of food and sleep for stretches of 48 hours because he was high on substances. Y'all, the way that was just literally on TV and no one was looking away, that couldn't happen. I feel like so many different lawyers would be literally finding people on social media and be like, hey, girl, you know you got a case. Although we're not supposed to do that technically. During her time on Making the Band 3, Richard claimed she saw Porter leaving Combs' recording studio, Kim Porter, in tears with visible facial injuries, including a busted lip, which deepened the singer's fears about his violent tendencies. In other words, she was scared it would happen to her. After joining Dirty Money in 2009, she said she witnessed him violently hurt Cassie on multiple occasions. In one incident, hurling scalding hot pan of eggs at her. She also accused him of hitting Ventura in the stomach with a fist in the stomach during a dinner where other celebrities were present. She claimed that substances were rampant at his private parties and that guests violated incapacitated young women, some of whom appeared to Richard to be underage, in an echo of previous other lawsuits alleging parties such as FOs. During her time in the trio, she claimed Combs repeatedly demeaned her and forced her to strip down to her undies during recordings. She also accused him of frequently groping her in her changing room under the guise of showing the stylist, quote, what to do. Once, after he allegedly flew into a rage, she was locked in a car with heavily tinted windows for more than 2 hours until her dad drove from Baltimore to New York demanding to see her. What would that go to? Of course, that is coercion. That's fraud. I'm trying to see. Let me think about how that might be related to ST. Because he wasn't moving her. In the lawsuit, Richard also outlined financial grievances, including a claim she's owed more than $3 million in unpaid wages and royalties for her time with Danity Kane. Responding to Combs' denials, her lawyer, who's Lisa Bloom. Okay, Lisa Bloom is the daughter of Gloria Allred, FYI. They work closely together, although they are two separate entities, obviously. Lisa Bloom told the Washington Post in 2024, sadly, some people still try to shame women for sometimes working with accused abusers. But it is not up to women to give up career opportunities to dodge powerful men who behave badly. Richard's lawsuit arrived a day after a judge awarded $100 million, to an inmate who sued him. That was a default case that got dismissed because that inmate was Looney Tooney. Combs currently faces multiple lawsuits. Okay. Last summer at Broccoli Fest, Richard told the Post that her father had given her important advice about the industry she'd pass on to others one day. His advice to me was, this industry is not what you think it is. So if you want to go into this, know that there will be heartbreak, and music may not love you the way that you love it. I know that's dark, but it prepared me. I'm so glad my dad prepared me for not the fame of it, but the truth of it. Oh, shoot. Let's go back. We're going to get some updates. Here we go. Let's put a pin in it. I've spoken previously about Cassie's dad. I wondered, where is he? Her parents are still married, to my knowledge. Her father is still in her life. He walked her down the aisle. And I am sure that he is probably very heartbroken and feels like he really failed her, and that she didn't feel like her dad could help handle this. And again, I know he's like a skinny little Filipino man. And he's a regular working class man, and this is a super powerful Diddy. But for a father, that has to feel terrible that you were unable to protect your daughter. All right, so back to the text. We got an update. They asked Dawn if she intervened when Diddy was kicking and hurting Cassie and dragged her up the first floor. She said no. Did you call the police? No. Here we go. The next day, what happened? It was... Again, she talked to Cassie, blah, blah, blah. And that she talked to Cassie, and Cassie said, it's better we don't talk because someone can end up missing. Then the judge, it says, jurors, you can leave for the weekend. Watch the Yankees play, the Mets or the Knicks. If you're not into sport, there's a lot going on. See you Monday. So it sounds like they're going to come back Monday with more Dawn. Because, of course, Diddy's side has to be able to cross-examine her. It's 5:02 over there, okay? Diddy's side has to be able to cross-examine her. Oh, it says Nixon 6. So far, someone is saying, so far, no ST proof. Someone argued that could be kidnapping. I'm so sad that so many women in this chat being anti-victim to those women. Ask yourself this question. Do I think Diddy is a criminal? I do. I sure do. Locking someone in a car is kidnapping. Oh, you know what, guys? You know what? I wonder. So I'm trying to think about what different aspects of this trial is Dawn likely to testify towards. And I wonder if they are going to have her talk about being locked in the car and use that as an additional example of kidnapping. I'm not sure. Because kidnapping is one of the things. It's kidnapping, arson, coercion, fraud is one of the various things that he's being accused of. So it looks like there's multiple benefits that her testimony is expected to give. Thank you so much, Jay-Z. It says Diddy paid Cassie $20 million. Thank you for this super chat. Cassie sued the hotel and received $10 million for all of her pain and suffering, and for those that knew and covered it up. It was not enough money. I hear you, JG. She's struggling. She's struggling. Yes, she got that money, but she's not okay. That is why, just months before the lawsuit, she had to go to rehab and get help. I am very curious I would love to know one day how she found her lawyer or how she realized she even had a case. My understanding is that she began writing the book as part of her therapeutic process. She said she just wanted Diddy to read it and wanted to offer that he could purchase it from her. He could buy it from her, and then that would basically get her silence. Now, if she did that, she's right. She wouldn't be able to talk about it separately. But by her making it part of this civil lawsuit, by her settling through the civil lawsuit, not only does she get paid, but legally she can talk about it and still write her book. You see that? So that's really interesting. If she had done it in the opposite order, the way she was initially trying to do it, she could never write a book and tell her story. But the law in New York, the law that proceeds over this, says if you make a settlement and that settlement involves a felony or any offense that could be considered as harassment or as assault, even if your agreement has a confidentiality provision, that provision doesn't stand. Therefore, by her doing it this way, even if her agreement with Diddy said she's not going to tell nothing, she not only gets to tell, and she can write a book. The end. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. All right, let me see what you guys got here. She didn't. Somebody said I would definitely buy her book, and she still can. She should do the book next. I'd say, go ahead, girl, do the book next. Do the book next. Stack it up. Run it up. She could probably make, I'd say she could probably get about 10 million more. All right, I'm going to go over some of these comments. Thank you so much again, JG. All right. Yes, we do need a red wine brand. Let me hide that one. And then we got SW. All right, let me look at these comments real quick before we wrap up. Stop the cap. You know the rehab is a play. All right, let's see. Is a play set up for the lawsuit. I don't know how that would set up for the lawsuit. She could do the lawsuit with or without the rehab. I don't see why she would need the rehab for the lawsuit. The feds are building their case brick by brick. That's how it is. Yes, I agree. It's brick by brick. Debt bondage. Traffickers often use debt to control victims, requiring them to engage in that act to repay a debt. Okay. All right, Michelle. Age and legal status. New York has specific provisions for child victims where coercion doesn't need to be proven, right? We don't have any child victims referenced yet in this case. It's really sad people don't understand the ongoing and after effects of what she's gone through. Diddy got away with all this crap. Cassie never wanted this out. In fact, Cassie's testimony actually says the opposite. Her testimony specifically said she did all of these things in many instances out of fear that he would release the footage and it would be an embarrassment to her family. Yes, Cassie finished testifying. So did an investigator who searched Diddy's room right after he was arrested, found all the FO materials, including baby oil, lube, substances, including the M, the D, the M, the A, as well as pink special stuff, if you know what I mean. All right. So let me just summarize this, kind of what they've established so far and what they haven't. So I'm still not clear about the S trafficking. I'm with you guys there. Hold on, let me just adjust this so you can see me. Okay, so as far as the offenses, hold on, and I'm going to make sure that I have these up so I can speak to each one. Hold on, give me one quick second. I want to speak to each one as we wrap up here. And let's talk about what has or hasn't been proved. Okay, he's accused of racketeering conspiracy. So what you need is a criminal enterprise. We've seen evidence of this enterprise. And that evidence includes different people who've done his dirty work, such as the person who offered the bag of money to the security guard to make the video go away. And then whoever actually made the video go away. That's an additional one. The people who would go back and get Cassie after she was hurt. The people who would pay the prostitutas to do their work and coordinate their trips. That is racketeering. And as far as an enterprise, he already has an enterprise, right? His enterprise are his businesses. So the enterprise, you didn't even need to prove it, but it's there. It's clearly there. And then S trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, there's 2 counts of that. That's the part where I agree. It could go either way. A jury could absolutely say, yeah, I heard Cassie's version, but I'm going with DV there. And I feel like at this point, probably at least half of the jury may see it as DV. I think they're hoping that what the jury will count on is how they try to, in redirect, the prosecutor tried to, or did get Cassie to acknowledge that, for example, after they were coming back from cons, he threatened to release footage, intimate footage of her, and she begged him not to. So then when they landed, she did an FO. That, I think they're trying to use things like that as examples of coercion, ways in which he coerced her to do that. However, there's excellent proof where she is asking him for FOs. And even after that, it seemed like it was a finale text after their relationship was ending, where he asked one more FO and she said, I don't want it to be my last. So that's why I'm saying that with her, there's 2 counts of ST, of the trafficking, 2 counts means 2 different people. So I say that to say they may be they're clearly going to use other people to also prove that up. And so I can agree with you guys that maybe Cassie isn't the best witness for that aspect. But I think she was a good witness to lay a foundation that he's a jerk and a foundation for racketeering. They also proved up the transportation to engage. Oh, that is not what I wanted. Transportation to engage in the prostitutas. And therefore, as a result, the prosecution has now proved 1/2 of what they need to prove to get a RICO. RICO, you need 2 offenses. They have proved transportation for prostitution. Now they just need to prove 1 other offense. So it can be arson, it could be the kidnapping, it could be a plethora of things. But if they get 1 more, or it could be the ST, what I want to be clear on is they don't have to prove ST to prove RICO. I hope you guys got that. I hope that makes sense. Let me know. Drop any questions or comments below in the chat. Yeah, once you cross the state lines, yes. Even though the male hookers were paid and they were happy to do it, the fact is it's still illegal to have transportation for prostitutes. Weren't his sons there? Yes, they were. Let me make sure I didn't. It says he brought the baby oil for a final FO with Cassie. He sure did. And that weirded us out. Yeah. No, hold on. One more thing. Sensei said, did I see the transcripts to the Fed's rebuttal of the defense's cross? She debunked the weird 2012. No, I did not see those transcripts. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. If someone has seen it in the chat, feel free to drop a link. Everyone is getting transcripts. So generally it just takes a little while, but let's see. Transcripts, Diddy, trial, Feds. Just let me know where you saw them and see if I can pull it up real quick. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing those. Let me see in the chat. Let me know if anyone have a link to that story, to a story that references that. When was transportation proved? Oh, good question. Transportation was proved day 1. Hold on. When was transportation proved? Let me know if you've seen a link. Yeah, or if you've seen where the transcripts were. I would love to go over those, but no, I hadn't seen them. Transportation was proved day 1. Transportation was proved when the S worker themselves got on the stand and named all the different cities. I think he named 13 different cities where they paid him to travel to and perform. That was number 1. And then number 2, on day 2, they put up a bunch of different S workers' photos and then explicit videos. And Cassie went through each one and gave cities for each one. That's why they had her name, not just, do you remember this worker? Do you remember their name? Do you remember what city and state that they were in? That was to prove up the transportation for prostitution. All right. Yes. Thank you, Sensitive. Let me see. I want to see. Somebody said prostitution is illegal. Oh my gosh. Who knew? And it's a felony when you do it in interstate commerce. Yeah, the Mann Act actually, the statute of limitations for the Mann Act is hold on. Let me just make sure I'm saying this right again. But yeah, I'm not seeing. Yeah, I don't see those transcripts, but feel free if someone wants to drop them in like a link in the comments below. I would love that. Hold on, let me just confirm this on the Mann Act, because yesterday I've said this before. The act is broad language to da-da-da-da. So they haven't specifically referenced the Mann Act, but it absolutely could be. But yeah, to prevent the transportation of women and girls across state lines, prostitution, but prostitutas. All right, so we've got it. We've got basically most of the accusations says, so don't give your man your bank card to get something from the store for you. Racketeering. If you're giving him the bank card so that he can commit a crime, yeah. Symone, can you give us an example of how I would signpost to the jury to make the link in testimony to charges clear? Great question. I think it would depend on, so for example, to signpost the transportation for prostitution, I would refer to the term prostitution. I said, so as a prostitute, so as a male prostitute, boom, that does it very easily. Now, for the traffickers, I would use for the S trafficking facts that support that, I'd use the word traffic. Did you feel when he had you on when he trafficked you on that plane? Boom, that's how you do it. Something like that. When he trafficked you on that plane. Yes. Yeah, arguably, if someone is asking, did Cassie commit any crimes? Yes, there's no doubt about that. Her assisting him, absolutely. But to be clear, Cassie did not receive immunity. How do we know? Here's how we know. If she had, that would have been the first thing the defense would have brought out on cross. Because when someone gets immunity, it automatically gives them less credibility, because the defense would then be able to hammer down and say, well, you're just saying this so you don't go to jail. Isn't that right? They never did. They never brought out immunity because I don't believe that she got any immunity. Instead, they didn't need to give it to her. And here's why. The truth is, under the law, I'm not blown away by it's not enough to convince me on a reasonable doubt. I got it. Under the law, what happens is that prosecutors don't want to do what's called tainting the witness. Tainting the witness is what happens if you charge a witness, a star witness, with a crime. So if it's a star witness, you'll watch in various criminal trials, they're not going to charge generally the star witness with an offense. Now, they may do a co-conspirator kind of thing, but for the most part, even when they can, they won't, because they need that witness to get to the kingpin. Someone said Cassie can pay me for security. She gilded. Oh, gosh. All right, guys. All right. I hope you guys appreciate it. Let me know, comments below. Let me know what you think has or has not been proven so far below. And if anyone has a link to those transcripts, oh, sure. Hold on. Let me put it real quick. I did enlarge. It's okay. You might be coming back. I did enlarge the screen. For the majority of this, it was pretty big, so you could see more of it. So don't worry. If you roll it back, you'll be able to read the text much better. It's just at the end when I was doing a summary is when I made it smaller. Yep, he booked some of the S workers under, using his company. Yeah, he used his company. So that's how it's part of the enterprise. Your smoking gun is baby oil and Astroglide. Please let that man go and stop wasting taxpayer dollars. Sorry to Cassie, but she's up $30 million next. All right, y'all have a great weekend. Hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we can help get me to 50,000 subscribers. I'm about 2,000 away, so I appreciate it, and hit that like. Take care.